John Haack is about to deadlift 4.2 times his own body weight.
I'm John Haack. I am the world record holder in the 198 and 220 pound weight class, and I am Animal's newest athlete. I started lifting when I was 10 years old. I grew up on a dairy farm, and just from that had a very high level of strength from that, and I'm very competitive, so I always wanted to be the strongest guy in my school. So for my 10th birthday, I got a weight set, bought a bench the next day with my own money, and then kind of started my journey of training that way. I grew up watching World's Strongest Man on ESPN, so I kind of gravitated more towards the strength sports versus like idolizing Bartius Pujanowski over like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And yeah, ever since then, always wanted to train for strength. Started lifting for football and wrestling, and then in college met a friend who competed in powerlifting in high school. He convinced me to do a powerlifting meet with him, ended up taking first in it, and just fell in love with the sport. Looking back on it, it definitely made me, I feel like, into the man I am today. I feel like I have a pretty good work ethic from it, and yeah, I wouldn't change it. So I am a private contractor at this point. Once I get closer to a meet, I'll take less jobs. That's kind of the benefit of being a private contractor. So like going into Ghost Clash, I didn't work or travel for a whole month leading into it. And during the last month and a half, I can kind of really lock in the diet. So I pretty much eat the same thing most days. My breakfast is usually 3 eggs, some ground bison, a Greek yogurt maybe, and then some veggies along with that. And then I split my protein up over 4 meals. Then lunch is usually, we grill out at the gym. I also work at the gym on my weeks that I'm not traveling. Grill out some burgers and some rice with that. I use the clear whey protein and then the flex and the pre-workout. So between that, I usually get about the 45 grams. And then my post-workout is Fairlife milk with the whey protein. I think focusing on protein is very easy thing to just, if you get that kind of locked away, protein's pretty satiating. So if you're getting enough protein, then you're probably not overeating too much. So whereas like carbs and fats are pretty easy to overeat. Yeah, I guess I just enjoy the grind of it overall. Trying to work in the off season to build the muscle and then start to peak and kind of train that muscle to exert a maximum effort. And even if it's just like a 2.5 kilo PR, like to know that the work you did in the off season paid off is just a great feeling overall. It's a marathon, so one bad meet isn't going to be the end of the world. And I think that's something where some people get kind of in their head. They might have a bad meet once or twice, they kind of hit a plateau, and they don't enjoy the training as much, so they only get enjoyment out of hitting the PRs. And if they're not hitting the PRs, then they kind of fall out of love of the sport. I've noticed with myself and a lot of other top guys is we just love lifting. Even if we aren't making that progress, we still love being in the gym. And it's tough when you're not making that progress, but you just got to kind of keep pushing. Try and accept that you're going to have some bad days or even bad weeks or months, and just fight through them. I think for me, I almost hate losing more than I like winning, so that kind of desire to not feel that hatred, disappointment feeds me to not deal with that. I think some people would, if they do feel that way, they might not want to even try it, but it's kind of caught in the middle of loving the sport and hating losing, so I guess I just gotta fight through it and succeed. My second meet was Raw Unity. Probably a lot of powerlifters or a lot of people in the sport don't really know what that meet was. It was kind of actually one of my going into animals, kind of my first experience with them, because the Raw Unity 7, they brought all their athletes, which was like Dan Green, Brandon Lilly, the Lilly Bridges, basically all the top guys. And I think that was one of the most competitive meets I've ever been a part of. And I was I think I just turned 21 at the time, and to be around all these legends of the sport and to have been I didn't win. That was one of the few meets I didn't take first, but I I felt like I held my own, and to be like, I'm on this stage, like I can compete with these guys. I think that was kind of where I felt like I want to be the top guy in this sport now. I mean, I want to be considered the greatest of all time. I know Ed Cohen's definitely the guy I consider that, and I don't think I'll ever be able to convince like everyone, but I want to just accomplish enough where, you know, it's me and him in that debate. I hold Ed in great respect, not just what he did on the platform, but also, you know, what he means to the sport today. Like, he's always in the cage every year. He's at meets all the time, shaking hands with people, helping everyone out. And, you know, I kind of want to transition to that after I'm done competing, and, you know, try and be considered the greatest of all time, both on the platform and off. I got some goals in mind that, like, if I hit these numbers, then in my head, I'll have accomplished enough to at least consider myself in that conversation. I think I'm close to them. Next year or two, I'd really like to make a push for them. I've talked about in the past, my big one right now is 2300 at 198. I just did the Ghost Clash. That was kind of the goal, to hit that 2300 at 198. Unfortunately, during the weight cut, I just started feeling a little bit sick, decided to call it at that. But got down to like 206 pounds. Ended up hitting the 2300, which was a really big, really great feeling for me. And then but just to be like so close to it on that weight cut, I think that I'll give one last push for it. And with what I hit, I feel like I left a lot of weight on the platform. When it comes to the bench, I think I could push a little bit further past 2300. And that would kind of be just like cement myself as one of the best 198s of all time. So I am about, let's say, 16 weeks out from the Power Surge, which is a meet down in Chicago. So it's kind of a little bit more local for me, which is a change of pace. I'm used to having to fly to like Miami or California or Texas for meets, and it's pretty nice to be able to drive a couple hours to go to a meet. And hopefully it'll be my last meet at 198, and I can move up to 220. Lifting in the cage is, you know, it is an experience that it's hard to describe, and like to actually hit like kind of that your last set. You want to take something that's kind of a gamble to hit, because a grind's going to look really cool. And yeah, just have everyone cheering after like putting it down. Just, I don't know, I kind of let loose a little bit, which is pretty rare for me.
Show me what kind of animal you are! Let's go!
When I first got into powerlifting, Dan Green was the guy who was taking the records, whether it was 220, 242, wraps, sleeves. Everyone knew who he was, and that was 10, 12 years ago, and he's still with the company, which just kind of shows how great of a relationship you guys have with him, and I'd definitely like to kind of have that same relationship with the company. So I have the Power Surge in, like I said, about 16 weeks or so. One more push at 198, and then the plan after that is December to make a shot at official strongman games and try and get the title of world's strongest man under 90 kilos.